The morning I discovered the truth, the sky was an unyielding gray as I stepped off the bus in the small town where my family's legacy had once been the center of my entire world. I wasn't expecting any fanfare, just the quiet hum of memories, but instead I felt the cold sting of betrayal. 3 years ago, my own sister had stolen my husband, shattering the carefully constructed life I'd built with him. I spent years in silence and heartache, rebuilding myself piece by piece, never imagining that one day I'd return to confront the ghosts of that betrayal. Yet nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to uncover, a secret left behind by my late father that would leave my sister and my ex-husband utterly speechless. I remember that fateful day as if it were a scene from a movie I couldn't pause. 3 years ago, when I first learned that my sister Marianne had seduced my husband Thomas, I felt a profound sense of loss. I had always believed that the strength of my marriage was built on trust, shared dreams, and years of dedication. Thomas and I had met during college, two kindred spirits with a passion for life and an unspoken promise of forever. We married in a small, intimate ceremony, promising to support each other through every trial. But as the years passed, subtle cracks began to appear. Marianne's laughter, her magnetic charm, drew Thomas in slowly at first, innocent flirtations that I dismissed as harmless. Until one day when whispers turned into a confession, and I found myself alone, broken-hearted, watching the man I loved walk away with my own sister. I spent those years in exile from the life I had known, each day a battle between bitterness and the desperate need to reclaim my identity. I moved to a different city, took up freelance work as a graphic designer, and immersed myself in art and writing. Each canvas and every blog post a small act of defiance against the betrayal. I learned to rebuild my life with painstaking determination, and slowly, I began to see the woman I could become if I refused to be defined by what Marianne and Thomas had done. Yet, beneath the surface, an ache remained, a quiet, gnawing pain that I carried with me like a secret scar. Then, on a seemingly ordinary afternoon, I received a letter in the mail that would change everything. It was from a law firm representing my father's estate. My father, Robert, had passed away quietly a year before my sister's betrayal had come to light, a fact I had learned with a mixture of grief and relief. I hadn't known that he'd left behind a will, one that was to be unveiled only after a lengthy probate process. With trembling hands, I opened the envelope. The letter informed me that there was a sealed document, a secret clause in his will, that had been hidden from the rest of the family. It stated that, despite any prior agreements or assumptions, the bulk of his estate was to be left entirely to me. The revelation was staggering. My father's hidden legacy, carefully tucked away in legalese, left no doubt. He had believed in my strength, my independence, and my worth, even when everyone else had cast me aside. The news spread like wildfire. Within days, whispers began circulating among the remaining family members. Marianne and Thomas, who had long assumed that I would be nothing more than a bitter memory in their wake, were suddenly forced to confront the reality of my father's decision. My sister, who had once manipulated our family dynamics to her own advantage, now found herself reeling under the weight of a secret that threatened to upend everything she had built. Thomas, too, was visibly shaken. No longer could he hide behind the comfortable lies that had once shielded him from accountability. I recall the moment I first confronted Marianne about the will. We met in a quiet cafe, far from the prying eyes of our relatives. Her face, usually so composed and confident, now wore an expression of shock and confusion. "I don't understand," she said, her voice wavering. "Dad always said the estate would be divided equally. How is it that he left everything to you?" I took a deep breath and explained. He believed that I was the one who had always carried the weight of our family's struggles on my own. He saw in me the strength to rise above it all, even when others failed. Marianne's eyes filled with tears of regret, perhaps, or the dawning realization of how deeply her actions had hurt me and, by extension, our family legacy. That confrontation was only the beginning. Over the following weeks, the secret in my father's will became a fulcrum around which our family's entire dynamic shifted. My attorney, Ms. Richards, organized a formal family meeting at the old estate, a place that had once been filled with laughter and unity, now eerily quiet with tension. One by one, our relatives gathered in the grand drawing room, the air thick with anticipation and unspoken accusations. I stood at the head of the table, a mix of determination and lingering pain evident in my eyes. "I know many of you believe that what happened 3 years ago defined me," I began, my voice steady despite the storm raging within. "But my father's final words have given me something I never thought I'd have. A sense of validation, of purpose, and a legacy that belongs to me regardless of the past." I detailed the contents of the secret clause, the reasons my father had chosen me over Marianne and Thomas, and I spoke of the values he had instilled in me: hard work, honesty, and above all, resilience. The room fell into a heavy silence. I could see shock and regret flicker in the eyes of my family members. Thomas shifted uncomfortably, his face a mask of regret, while Marianne sat in stunned silence, her earlier arrogance replaced by an overwhelming sense of remorse. My father's secret had not only vindicated me, but it had also laid bare the flaws in their actions. Their greed, their manipulation, their willingness to cast aside the one person who had always been there for our family. "Your actions have consequences," I said quietly, "and now you must face them." The meeting ended with many words left unsaid, but one thing was clear: the foundation upon which our family had once stood was crumbling, and the truth could no longer be ignored. In the weeks that followed, relationships were forced to change. Some relatives, shaken by the revelation, reached out to me with apologies and offers of reconciliation. Others, however, clung stubbornly to old resentments, unwilling to accept that I had become the sole heir to our father's legacy. Marianne, in particular, struggled to come to terms with the fact that the very secret she had used to manipulate our family was now the instrument of her downfall. In the midst of this emotional upheaval, I found solace in my art and writing. I began to pour every ounce of my anger, sadness, and eventual triumph onto canvases and pages. My paintings became a series of vivid, raw expressions of the pain of betrayal and the fierce, unyielding strength that emerged from it. My blog, once a quiet corner of personal reflection, exploded with comments from readers who shared their own stories of family rejection and betrayal. Their voices, filled with empathy and shared understanding, became a chorus of support that reminded me that I was not alone. I was forging a new path, one defined not by the wounds of the past, but by the resilience that grew stronger with every challenge. Thomas, once so confident in his ability to manipulate our family narrative, eventually became a shadow in our lives. He retreated from the public eye, his once bright ambition dimmed by the weight of his own guilt. Marianne, too, struggled to adjust to the new reality. The secret of my father's will had left her stunned, her carefully crafted facade of superiority shattered. I sensed that both of them were forced to confront the consequences of their choices, and though I did not relish the thought of their suffering, I knew that justice, however quiet and gradual, had been served. Over the next year, I continued to build on the foundation that my father's secret had provided. I expanded my freelance business, securing larger projects that allowed me to travel and to connect with a network of creative professionals who admired my work. I even began to teach workshops on graphic design, sharing the skills and the lessons I had learned through my own journey of rebuilding. Each success was a small victory against the pain of betrayal, a reminder that I was not defined by the actions of those who had tried to cast me aside. At the same time, I worked to mend the fractured relationships within our family. I reached out to relatives who had always been kind, forging new bonds built on honesty and mutual respect. I attended family gatherings, sometimes alone, sometimes with a trusted friend by my side, and I began to see that while the past could never be erased, it could be acknowledged and used as a stepping stone toward a more authentic future. My parents, humbled by the unfolding events, made sincere efforts to apologize and to seek forgiveness. Their words, though sometimes awkward and tentative, carried the weight of years of regret. Slowly, the atmosphere at our family dinners shifted, from one of bitterness and guarded silence to one of cautious hope and tentative reconciliation. One evening, at a small reunion held at our father's old estate, I stood before the assembled family and for the first time, spoke openly about the journey that had brought me here. I was disowned, I said, my voice calm yet resonant, and I was forced to build a life on my own. That pain, that betrayal, has shaped me into the woman I am today, a woman who refuses to be defined by the mistakes of the past. My father's secret, the truth of our legacy, is not a tool for manipulation but a testament to my resilience. I have learned that family is not defined by blood alone, but by the bonds we choose to honor. And I choose to honor my own worth. There was a long silence, followed by murmurs of agreement and even tears. I could see that my words had reached them, that they were forced to confront the reality of what they had done, and the strength that had blossomed in the wake of my rejection. As the years turned and the wounds slowly began to heal, I found that the pain of being disowned was not something that could be completely erased, but rather transformed into a source of inspiration. I continued to write, paint, and speak about my experiences, turning every hardship into a stepping stone toward a future filled with promise. I built a life rich in genuine connections and creative pursuits, a life where my worth was measured by my own achievements and the love I had cultivated, not by the shallow judgments of those who had once cast me aside. Today, as I sit in the quiet comfort of my sunlit studio, surrounded by my art and the soft hum of my favorite music, I reflect on the journey that began when I was disowned by my family. I see a tapestry woven with threads of heartbreak, resilience, and ultimate triumph. A tapestry that tells the story of a girl who was once rejected, but who, over the course of 9 long years, discovered that her true value was not defined by the opinions of others. I have learned that even the deepest wounds can lead to profound personal growth, and that the strength to rise again resides within each of us. My return, after 9 years of exile, left my family speechless, not because I sought to humiliate them, but because I had transformed my pain into a legacy of strength. I have built a future that is entirely my own, a future where I define my worth and embrace every challenge with courage and grace. I now know that rejection can be a catalyst for transformation, and that the love I have for myself and for those who truly care is the most powerful force of all. This is my story, a story of betrayal, of exile, and ultimately, of redemption. It is a testament to the unyielding resilience of the human spirit and a reminder that no one can ever diminish the light that shines within. My journey is far from over, but with every new day, I step forward with the unwavering belief that I have the strength to shape my destiny, a destiny defined not by the shadows of the past, but by the brilliant promise of the future I now create with my own hands.